Dogate, Andrew Ecker Yinishe, Adonna E, Nishinigi E, Inde Nishe, Irish Bashachin, Inde Dashache, German Dashanali, Akote Go E Tishli E, Portland, Oregon Inisha, Shama E, Kathy Lindsay Woye, Shaza E, Del Ecker Wole. My name is Andrew Ecker. My mother, Kathy Lindsay. My father, Dale Ecker. My mother's mother, Elva Gallegos, Apache woman from New Mexico. My father's mother, Evelyn Beatty, Irish woman from Pennsylvania. My mother's father, Leroy Lindsay, Apache man from Arkansas. My father's father, Wayne Ecker, German Algonquin from Pennsylvania. I have a daughter, Bailey, a son, Peyton, and a beautiful, beloved fiance, Monica. I was incarnated into this body in Portland, Oregon, the land of the Multnomah, the land of three rivers. Although I reside here in Phoenix, Arizona, the land of the Akmal Atam, the Pipash, the Maricopa, and the Ende people. I'm so grateful to be here with you and grateful that you have made it now to the fourth video in this lecture series. You've made it to Grandmother East. And I'm excited because this is going to begin the process of you stepping into your relational spirituality, the expanse of consciousness, and you opening your heart up to new people and how we craft that energetic architecture. So I would love for you to introduce yourself here to this process. And if you need to pause the video to introduce yourself, I want to invite you to do that now. Fantastic. So you're learning how the process of ceremonial introduction is done, and you're feeling what it feels like to actually know yourself in a way that's beyond behavior, to know yourself in a way that's beyond the confusion of the illusion. Last time I talked about learning the ancestral lands of your grandparents and the maiden names of your mother and your grandmothers. I hope you had an opportunity to do that, to research that process. Because remember, the feminine aspects of yourself, the women in your life, they were people before they were married. And that is really exciting to me to honor the totality of the feminine, how we come into that space of honoring them in the fullness. And remember the ancestral lands of your grandparents, where they were born. Why did their soul choose to be incarnated in the place that they were incarnated? Let's get deep with this. Let's get deep with the opportunity that the Sacred Seven creates for us. So I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer before we go into this teaching today. And I'm so grateful for all of you being here with me. And you know, I had some insight that was shared with me. I was at a ceremonial fire, and there was this really powerful medicine person there. And he looked me in the eyes and he said to me, he said, you know, it's the time now when the geese are flying and they're doing their migration. And he said, Andrew, do you know that geese always fly in the shape of an arrow? And I said, yes, they always do. And he looked at me and he said, do you know why one side is longer than the other? And I said, no. He said, because there's more geese on that side. You know, it's really good to laugh a little bit when we're going through this process relative, because the idea of relational spirituality, emotional intelligence, and self-identity, it can get really intense. But for all of us, laughter is good medicine. Laughter is a good prayer. So I'm going to go ahead and put down some cedar, some sage. I have some lavender here. And if you brought any medicine to your experience with the Sacred Seven, I want to invite you to light that, you know, to light your sage, light your cedar, carry your prayers, carry your incense, carry your altar with you. And I'll go ahead and do that for all of us here. And, you know, I'll give you this virtual smudge as I utilize some of these sacred instruments that have been given to me and have been a blessing in my life. So there you go. There's a virtual smudge for you. And I'll go ahead and pray us in. So Father, Mother, Creator, Source, I thank you for this opportunity to be in this prayer place. I thank you that before the foundations of the earth, you gave us a place to pray, to come into communion with you, and to seek the guidance of our ancestors and the holy people, the angels, all the ones that are working in our lives to help us make a better way for ourselves in the next 7 generations. I pray that you would illuminate to us the path of the East, that you would help us to understand the goodness of what it means to be fully immersed in the power of relational spirituality. We come to the East this week and we come in the wholeness of our heart, knowing that you have already made a way for us, that you have already been a light to our footsteps, a shield of faith to protect us, and that you have silenced the voice of the accuser from inside of us. We are holy people, and we thank you for that holiness, that you have imparted it to us, a wisdom creator in our lives. Beauty above, beauty below, beauty beside, beauty in front, beauty behind, beauty within. We are made beautiful again. Aho and amen. All right. So we're going into the East this week. The East is the place of our matriarchal grandmother. She is the one that guides us in the direction of the East. This is our mother's mother. This is the one who is actually in the tradition, our clan identity. You know, as I'm sharing this with you, there's a remembrance that goes on, right? Before the patriarchy, before the distortion of the toxic masculine, there was a memory inside of all of us that the feminine meant something. The feminine means something. So remind yourself energetically, remind yourself spiritually that your mother's mother is something that is a part of you. So as we go into the East, this is the design of that relationship. My mother's mother, Elva Gallegos, she was the one who taught me to pray. She was the one that I sat with when she would make the tortillas, and she would, I would get them fresh and put butter on them, and I would eat those. And, I remember like going into my friends' houses in Portland, and they weren't eating the same foods that we were, these foods that were from New Mexico, because my family was all from a little town called Capitan, right outside the Mescalero Reservation in New Mexico. And the foods that we ate, they were traditional foods, and our house smelled different than my friends' houses. But that was meaningful to me. What are the meaningful relational ideas that come when you sit with your mother's mother? Maybe you didn't know your mother's mother. Maybe that idea, that person in your life was distant to you. Well, what are the feelings that come forward as we journey into the East, the place of connecting to our grandmother? All of that is a message about how she is in your life. Now, notice when I introduce my mother's mother, I say Elva Gallegos. I don't say my grandmother was, because what I'm doing is I'm creating barrier from her energy in my life. If I say she was, it's as if she's not existing. And there is a relationship to her, an energetic relationship to her that is in always. So this is the relational language that we want to create when we come into contact with the sacred container of the East. Now, what does it feel like to be consciously connected to the East? It's empowering. It's a powerful place of relational spirituality relative. So for this ceremonial space that we're coming into, we connect to the East, and this is the place of new relationships. We call our matriarchal grandmother to guide us here. She is the gateway into new relationships. She is our representation of who we are to the vast perspective of the East. Now, when we begin to materialize her, right, there's this idea of resistance because, maybe we know her in the physical, and maybe that relationship has some distancing. Maybe there's some pain in that relationship. And guess what? That's okay. It's okay because we're not just talking about our matriarchal grandmother. We're talking about the ancestral lines that go back to the very dawn of creation. It's not just your physical grandmother, but it is also her, but it's the line, the lineage that goes back all the way to the mothers of the dawn of identity. She's a part of that biological connection to the earth. And when we call her in, we call in the vastness of this concept of the East. The dawning of the new day, the dawning of new relationships. Maybe for you, your ancestral connection is a little challenging to understand. Guess what? It was for me too. Remember, when I introduce my grandparents, when I introduce my parents, there's a lot of trauma that came with that. There's a lot of dysfunction, a lot of pain. But today, as I come into my ceremonial introduction, I have now found the medicine in those relationships. My father thought being a good dad was turning me on to a clean heroin connection. My mom thought being a good mom was taking me out shoplifting, teaching me how to steal. All of this dysfunction that was in my life created a barrier of resistance from me embracing the idea that, hey, there's something for me to learn there. I don't know what your medicine is, but I know that the Creator has a plan for you to find that. And the more that we come into this self-knowing, this self-awareness, this ability to relate spiritually to the energies of our present day self, the more that the clarity of the past lives, the places that you remember inside of yourself, your soul's journey, the more that you will call into existence the clarity of your medicine. And it's exciting to realize that as we come into the East. So in this journey, we'll begin to create a doorway into the East. This is the place of the dawning of the sun. It is the newness of relationships. It's a place where all relationships are in a certain sense, because guess what? All relationships are new. Grandmother East guides us into that place of understanding how we can relate again to the newness of relationship. Maybe there's a person in your life, a new person that's coming in. Maybe you're holding place in your heart for a new person, a new love. Maybe there's a new business relationship. Maybe there's a new person that you can guide your consciousness to and create them energetically. This is how we begin to utilize the medicine of new relationships. You see, Grandmother East is a guiding post, but Grandmother East is also an intellectual connection to the energetic architecture of the advancement of your spiritual nature. These are the processes that come with clarity and the use of your ceremonial introduction. As you remember how to fluidly sit in the foundation and the fortification of yourself, you will become aware that consciously and effortlessly there will be manifestations. Manifestations of beautiful new relationships, manifestations of ways to navigate new relationships, of clarity and purpose, and be driven inside of those new relationships. You see, we all have a yearning to meet new people, but sometimes fear comes in and keeps us from that. This is the opportunity. This week is about you cleansing away the distortion of the confusion and to come to the place of clarity. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your process of finding your medicine. So as we create this new abundant and we write a prosperity, this new relationship is the right to create prosperity in existence. Let your consciousness understand yourself with new limitless space to be transformed. So now we're granting ourselves the permission slip to journey into the new opportunities and allow for this manifestation of the guiding light of the East to generate a possibility inside of us. What is that possibility? That possibility is the truth of understanding that we are new ourselves. Every moment we have an opportunity to awaken the newness of what it means to be a beautiful representation of our ancestral lines and the earth herself. This is your new self. This is the relationship that you have to optimizing newness in your life. Allowing for the dawning of the sun to wash over you and cleanse the distortion. The past is no longer here in the East. The past is only a learning, a lesson, a place of gratitude. It's a vehicle of empathy here in the East. As we consciously connect to Grandmother East, we are given that guidance. And now I want you to grant yourself permission. Come to the place of recognizing as we journey together that there is an opportunity to unlock the toxicity within our own consciousness. Maybe there's something hidden within our subconscious that as we go into this guided imagery meditation, as we journey with the meditation, it will be revealed to us. This is the permission that we're granting ourselves this week. It's very exciting relative to be here with you on the cusp of revelation. On the cusp of your intuitive knowing expanding into a place of newness, reaching out to the very edge of the East and saying, here I am. I can feel it inside of me, the anticipation for the growth. And I'm so grateful to have this earth-based knowledge, this wisdom system of relational spirituality, of ceremonial introduction, of the power of emotional intelligence. Empathy is a guidepost. Empathy is a powerful vehicle for transformation. And here in the East, we come again to that place of recognizing it. So within the infinite intelligence of Grandmother East awaits the door of the Eastern perspective. Remember, we have 7 directions, 7 perceptions of self. Above the masculine, below the feminine, the inside the sacred child, now the East. This is the way of looking at ourselves. We're seeing ourselves from the East, seeing ourselves with newness, free from the captivity relative. Burning like a blue flame fire. I see you burning like that. And I'm grateful for you because you're the blue flame that cuts through the chains, the plasma torch that cuts through the chains of the oldness, the old ways of thinking, the oldness, the broken ways of thinking. The East grants us that permission. So as we come into the guided imagery meditation, I want you to hold questions in your heart, questions that you feel you would allow for you to expand your conscious connection to the East. What is it that will come into your mind, come into your heart as we journey into Grandmother East? Maybe there's some things that you need to work on in your current relationship with your grandmother. Maybe there's some things that you need to work on in the idea of letting go of the past. Maybe there are some things that you're working on even right now as I'm speaking this into existence in your life. The practice is evident because it's the practice-based evidence that brings us to the fulfillment of our soul's journey. You're journeying now. You've been called to the Sacred Seven for a purpose, for a reason, for a plan. And I'm so grateful to be a part of that. And let's get into this idea of what are we going to ask grandmother? How is she going to show up in our lives? Let's have the freedom as we go into the guided imagery to allow for her to manifest in any way that she would like. If it's our earth-based grandmother, fine. If it's an ancestral grandmother, that's okay too. Seek the guidance of grandmother as we allow for the guide to manifest in any way. Ask what parts of you could be shown new. What parts of you could be made new? Open the doorway into asking the questions that serve us today. What relationships can I make new? Are there ways of looking at my friends, looking at my family, looking at my community that are hurtful to me? Is there any way that I can allow for those ideas and concepts of the way that I held them to be dissolved, the barriers to be dissolved? Can I allow for the pain to go away and make myself available to be loved? Am I giving myself that permission to be loved by my family, to be loved by my friends, to be loved by my community? What is it inside of me that keeps this captivity of relationship open? These are the questions that we come to as we journey into the East. Ask for a vision of a new relationship. Maybe there's a love waiting for you in the East. Maybe there's a new business relationship. Maybe there's a new artistic creation waiting for you in the East. Ask for the guidance to see that as we journey deep into the process of awakening the newness of self-identity. As we call to the direction of the East and we allow for grandmother to guide us, allow for your mind to be open to receiving. Free yourself powerfully in making perfect decisions in new relationships. See yourself as a powerful wisdom of new relational ideas, new relational concepts. Let go of the idea of, oh, my picker is broken, right? Some of us have thought that about ourselves. I just don't know how to pick a man. I just don't know how to pick a woman. I just don't know how to pick a person in my life. I've made horrible decisions. Break down the density of that fear, that confusion, that illusion, and allow for it to dissolve in the sunlight of the newness of the East. There is a new relationship for you with yourself. There's a new relationship for you as we journey into the place of connection. Maybe you're going to find a symbol. Maybe you're going to find a dance. Maybe you're going to find a song in this guided imagery meditation. Allow for it to happen for you. Create that opportunity. So let's begin our journey now. And like I said to you before, I hope you brought your earphones. I hope you brought your blindfold, because that does make it so much easier for us to connect to this guided imagery. And I'm going to go ahead and begin. Before I begin this process, let's all just take some deep breaths. Really center ourselves in, expanding our consciousness and opening our hearts up to the East. Let's go there now. And apparently for some reason, oh, Welcome to a moment in our collective history that will never be here again. This is an infinite moment of creativity, imagination, and the ability to expand our relational understanding. We are going to begin our exercise by allowing the body to dissolve any tension. This is an opportunity for you to bring your mindful awareness into a place of relaxation that the mind can create, that consciousness can innovate. This is the knowing that comes forward when the body is in a place of comfort. Let's begin by creating a practice of relaxation. Starting with your mindful intention now at the very tips of your toes. Let's begin to release the tension, all of the tension in the tips of your toes, focusing your conscious energy on relaxation, allowing that relaxation now to move from the tips of your toes to the very back of your heels. This is a place in which the feet feel completely relaxed. We are beginning to define a foundation of relaxation, that we may expand this foundation of relaxation through the entire body. Now bringing your awareness to your ankles, slowly moving this conscious intention of relaxation to the calves, and now the knees, relaxing the thighs, bringing relaxation to the hips, focusing your conscious intention at the base of the spine, allowing yourself to breathe into infinite relaxation, releasing anything and any resistance. You are tuning your body to a place of creativity and relationship. Let's begin to expand now into the torso, releasing the tension in the torso, moving your mindful intention of relaxation through all of the systems of the body. Now the tips of the fingers and the forearms, the elbows, the bicep, the tricep, the shoulders, releasing all of the barriers, allowing the body to be in relaxation. Now the neck, releasing any tension in the vertebrae of the neck. The jaw, releasing the tension in the jaw. The mouth, the nose, the ears, the eyes, and now the very top of your head. This is a place of perfect relaxation. In this place, your consciousness is expanding. You are beginning to feel the sensations of an expanded relational consciousness. We are creating together. Place, a meeting of our own design. Let's begin to feel the earth in this place. Coolness at the bottom of our feet. Realize that you are in a perfect place in nature. The sensations of nature begin to meet you. The warmth of the sun, the cool of the breeze, the smells of the vegetation. This is a perfect meeting place. You have designed perfection. As we rest into this infinite place of expression and relationship, there is a path before us, one that brings us to a journey of exploration. And now, you begin to walk your path. As you walk the path, you are naturally guided to the east, as you can see that this is the dawning of a day, in which the direction of the east has guided you. Your consciousness is now in the east. As you begin to journey to the east, there are sounds that begin to sing to you the warmth of familiar voices. There is a distant gathering that we are coming closer to. Our heart feels aligned with this gathering as we realize that this is a gathering of grandmothers. The grandmothers of our distant past have gathered now. The grandmothers of our very present moment have gathered now. Their voices and their laughter begin to fill our heart. We have journeyed into the east, the place of our matriarchal grandmothers. And now we may enter the gathering, realizing that we are the guest of honor. Our ancestral matriarchal grandmothers have gathered and created a safe place for us to explore the power of the East. Being in the presence of these ancestors fills us with wisdom as we begin to realize that the knowledge of the source energy of new relationships is being manifested. Look around at the gathering of faces, the many that have come. And now, one sacred grandmother begins to emerge from the gathering of many. She is familiar to you. She has been called to this moment, a moment of relationship. It's as if the wisdom of knowing is present, the wisdom of revelation. There is a sort of feeling of deep connection and relationship that emerges as you begin to look into the eyes of grandmother. Your heart becomes aligned. She has come with the wisdom of new relationships. And now you may ask questions, and you may receive answers. Journey with grandmother to the place of the East. She has come to show you direction, and now you may receive. And now just wiggling your toes and your fingers, coming back to the body, coming back to the present moment. Whew, that was a very powerful journey for me. I actually encountered my grandmother as a grandmother snake, just beautiful snake, and just came up and showed herself to me, and it was really remarkable. Yeah, I'm just putting it together right now, and be really open to yourself. If you need to go journal, pause the video, go journal what came through for you. Journal the thoughts as well of the distancing from the guided imagery. Maybe there was some thoughts that came into your mind, some thoughts about your own idea of self. Maybe something distracted you in your field. Journal what that was. Journal the process for yourself in this whole experience. It really can bring insight to you at a later time. It's taught to us that when we come into the place of connection to this medicine, whether it be the sound, the meditation process, that it's like the wheel is turning, right? The download is coming. And as you come into that download, you may have a revelation come through for you. That revelation may be in a different association than what you actually came for, but it's still a revelation. It's still something that's important for you. So be mindful of that. So I'm talking about integration now of the guided imagery meditation, the unlocking of your subconscious, the connection to the East, and how we integrate that knowledge into transformation. So one of the ways is, of course, grounding into a symbol. Maybe you can draw a symbol of what you encountered as you were journeying to the East. Maybe something came forward for you. Draw that symbol of the East, the newness of self. Journal what the East means to you. Create an altar to this aspect of yourself. What is an altar? Again, an altar is a meeting place of consciousness. You know, you can design an altar to be something for anything in your life. If you have an altar space of connecting to Creator, you can have that. If you have an altar space of connecting to yourself, connecting to the East, you can create that in your life. You're free to do that. And there's a beautiful understanding that comes from consciously positioning stones, consciously positioning artifacts, sacred items of yourself onto a table, onto a sacred space inside of your home. Just the wisdom of taking that meditative experience and creating something, it can be very enlightening to you. It can help you through your process. So share in the group. Go to the Sacred Seven Facebook group and share what the East has meant for you. Take time to write a comment, write something. I will be there for you. I'll go in and I will try to comment. I'll try to bring my insight to what the journey was about. We're in this process together. This is the practice-based evidence, right? This is the journey of self-discovery, and it's so exciting. It really is a beautiful thing to have a community to experience that with. And I want to encourage you, go make a video, share it on the Sacred Seven group. Challenge yourself to manifest the aspects of the East in new relationships. What does it mean to allow for newness to happen in your life? Choose a part of yourself to see in a new way. Maybe there's something that you have had resistance to. Maybe there's something that's been in your life that's been a struggle. See it in a new way this week. This is a process of you letting go of the captivity of the old and awakening your emotional sovereignty. This week is about that. And it's exciting relative to be here with you. Let go of the barriers of finding newness in relationships. What is the captivity that has kept you from seeing a person in that way? It's very dysfunctional for us to be in a zero-sum game with the people we love. This place of I am only right if they're wrong. Right? They're only right if I'm wrong. This distortion, this happens in our relationships, and it's very unfortunate. If we allow Grandmother East to give us the newness of relationship, we can let go of that process, and guess what? We can find joy. So let's spend the time that it takes to create this integration. The subconscious mind is a place that we can hack. We can go in there and we can find newness. We can create, we can allow for the density of suffering to be broke away, and it can allow for us to come to a greater place of understanding ourselves. But it also takes time. Remember, be patient with yourself. Love yourself in this process. I'm here with you. I'm available to answer any questions as you journey into your practice of the Sacred Seven, and our whole community is here with you as well. So I'll go ahead and put some cedar down here and give us a blessing for this week. And thank you so much again for joining me. So Creator, I pray that you would bless all of the students, bless them in a good way as they come into this place of journeying in the East. I pray that you would help them on their journey, that you would guide them, that you would allow for Grandmother to be there for them. Comfort them in their time in which they feel the heaviness. Comfort them and give them celebration in their time in which they feel the lightness of joy and happiness. And I pray that you would be a light to their footsteps. Beauty above, beauty below, beauty beside, beauty in front, beauty behind, beauty within. I am, we are made beautiful again. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week as we go into the South. Blessings, relative.